Hi, Central family. I was asked to share a little bit about how I have been sharing my hope in Christ with others during this time. And to be completely honest with you, I struggled with this question. It not only is convicting, but it also is a bit frustrating. As I think about the last several months, nearly every single normal opportunity for me to share my hope in Christ with others has been taken away, whether that be church, small group, kids' activities, school activities, coworkers. It's all changed and it's all taken away. And it took me several weeks to adjust to this new reality. And during that time, unfortunately, my sharing of my hope in Christ took a back seat. But we as believers know that the gospel transcends all changes and it transcends all physical chaos of this world. And so as I think about this question, I want to share with you something that I have learned in the last few months in regards to sharing my hope with Christ, my hope in Christ with others. And I want to look at 1 Peter 3:14 and 15. And I'll read that real quick. But even if you should suffer for righteousness' sake, you will be blessed. Have no fear of them, nor be troubled, but in your hearts honor Christ the Lord as holy, always being prepared to make a defense to anyone who asks you for a reason for the hope that is in you. Now I'm going to stop here and address briefly this passage. Peter tells us three things that I want to point out. He says that we have a hope that is only attainable through Christ. He says this hope creates in us a fearlessness that should cause curiosity in those around us that do not already have this hope. And then third, we should be prepared to share this hope with others. Now, one thing we need to understand is we need not fear anything in this world. Christ's death has conquered it all. Unfortunately, during the last several months, I have admittedly fallen into an unbelief of this truth. This fearlessness that we should have from the hope in Christ has been lost during this chaos and during these changes. But Peter is telling us here that we need to stand firm in this hope, in this fearlessness, and we need to celebrate this truth, and we need to share this truth. But he's not done yet. At the end of verse 15, he says, "Yet do it with gentleness and understanding." And this is huge. This is the power of us sharing our hope in Christ with gentleness and understanding. And it is hard. It is very hard. We have to decide every day to set aside our fleshly desires, our fleshly feelings, and to take on the character of Christ to be able to display gentleness and understanding. We live in such a uniquely chaotic world right now that no matter where we look, no matter what we read, no matter who we talk to, it is nearly impossible to escape our culture's issues, issues like racism and abortion, COVID, or personal rights, or the presidential election. It's all around us. And the overwhelming response to these issues is hatred and bitterness and violence and shaming and destruction. But yet we are called to share our hope in Christ during these times. It does not take a pause during chaos. And so the question is, how do we as believers share our hope in Christ during these chaotic times? And undoubtedly, every one of us are dealing with these issues every single day. So Paul, in Philippians 4, tells us, "Rejoice in the Lord always. Let your gentleness be known to everyone." We also read in Proverbs 18:2 that a fool takes no pleasure in understanding, but rather only in expressing his opinion. So once again, gentleness and understanding. Our hope in Christ requires both in order to be effective to those that do not have it. So my question to you is, do you have the gentleness and understanding that will make your sharing of your hope in Christ effective to others around you. So as I close, I'd like to challenge you to a couple things this week. First, I want to challenge you to think about where you need to increase your gentleness and your understanding in your interactions with others, and then be intentional about it. And then I want to encourage you that if you are lacking in gentleness and understanding, that as believers, we know if we ask Christ whatever we need in his name, he will provide. And so ask him for gentleness and understanding when sharing your hope in him, and he will provide.